you can be listening right now and literally just make the decision to flip from I can't do it to I can. Now, it's obviously that moment is harder to manufacture, but this could be the moment right now as you're listening to it where you decide to say, I'm going to go do it.
Get ready to tune in to stories of average men striving for greatness, to become the leaders that are needed in their homes, in their career, and their communities. This is the Brotherhood of Fatherhood podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Brotherhood of Fatherhood. Super pumped to have Justin Singer with me today. Justin is a real estate investment and operations guy, and he also owns Mekanix, a gym, kind of a high-end boutique in the Houston area. Before we go on, I want to make sure that you do a few things. First, if you're a listener of this podcast, go jump over on our Facebook group, join that group. You're going to get a lot of updates and things. We got a ton of stuff going on. If you're listening to this now, you may or may not be able to still buy tickets for the big event in Montana. So if it's past, I'm sorry, you missed out. And it is incredible. It was incredible. I'm talking in future tense here. It's kind of weird. So, but you need to be paying attention to stuff we got going on. I think actually Justin might play a part of something future that I've been kind of playing around with in my brain since talking to him. Welcome to the show, Justin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing. Thanks so much for inviting me on. This is a real pleasure and an honor.
Yeah, but it's fun talking to guys like you. We chatted a month or two ago, and it was pretty quick to realize that we're going to have a good time talking. And as I was getting started with you, you're like, hey, I had a great workout this morning. So I know I'm talking to the right people when they start their day right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe I said that wrong. I said high-end boutique. Is it just a boutique gym? Or let's talk about your gym, because I'm really curious, because I've seen photos. I've kind of looked into it, and wow, really cool. So tell us a little bit about that. This isn't a sales. It's just like an interest thing. I'm like super interested.
That's very kind of you to say such nice things. So Mekanix Gym, Houston, Texas, we do strength, conditioning, recovery, and breath work. And
Uh-oh, I lost him.
are really like a hub for people that envisage themselves at like age 70, age 80, age 90, still crushing life. And they're envisaging like going and hiking the mountain or doing the Ninja Warrior course or going on that adventure they always wanted to. And they just don't ever see that stopping until, the very end of, their time here. And it's a whole different kind of mindset around fitness from just like grind it out or, let's just go into like a disco lodge with lots of lights and sounds, but we're not really going to train for the long term. I'm 42, and in my head, as much as I can possibly manifest this, I see myself being 100, and right up till the very end of being 100, and my time on this earth, like I plan to be crushing adventures. And so Mekanix Gym is really geared for men and women that sort of have a similar mindset of like, they're just going to maximize their health so that they can maximize their life.
That's incredible. And I have to apologize. My internet stopped for a minute and it froze you, but, you came in when you're talking about like a 70, 80 and the lifestyle. And I was like, oh yes, this is incredible. So, you do like, what exactly do you do in there? Because I think we might've missed that part. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Strength, conditioning, recovery, and breath work. Calisthenics, so body weight strength training, is the foundation of our strength program. And then we augment that with some selective weight training. Recovery, we do it a lot of different ways, everything from stretching to myofascial release. But something that's just been huge for us, a game changer for me personally and for our community, has been the ice baths and the sauna. So we call it fire and ice. Mm-hmm. Fire is the sauna. We crank it up to like 250 sometimes. Ooh. And then the ice is the cold plunge, and it gets down into the high 20s. So it feels amazing on the body. And then breath work and conditioning. Yep.
I'm such a fan of all of this. I do almost all of it. I don't do the ice. and that's more of a logistics thing for me and maybe an excuse thing because I do showers, but it's never that next level. So I want to talk about this. I want to dig into this a little bit because there's guys that are like, I'm so over this heat and cold stuff,
Yep.
and there's a ton of science behind it. And yeah, it's gotten a lot of leverage or a lot of media attention. A lot of people are doing it. Well, are a lot of people doing it? There might be something there. So, what are some of the benefits that you have seen yourself doing this, as well as all of the members of your gyms?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would, first of all, I would just to kind of address your point of, or kind of speak to the point of like people that are over it. Um, I actually tend to kind of talk to two groups of people. One group of people is someone who's like, I'm never going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. So they're just in the no camp. And interestingly enough, when one of their friends finally like drags them into it, like 9 out of 10 of the no's will convert over to a yes if they try it. But then the other group is like yeah, this is like really cool. And the only thing that sort of pulls them back from doing it might be the logistics of working it into their schedule, kind of like what you shared. So the number one benefit to me is that I mean, I really don't know. It's a very short list of things that naturally are going to make me or you feel absolutely amazing mentally and physically. And it's for 1 hour, it's 1 hour time commitment,
Yeah.
or less. I mean, you literally could do it in a few minutes if you wanted to compress it down. When we run fire and ice, we do it as a cycle between the ice and the heat, and we do it several times. And it usually takes about an hour, but it's an hour of just relaxation, feeling really good. You're putting that heat and cold stress on your body. So people are thinking, oh, it's going to be stressful. But in reality, you kind of become accustomed to it, and that stress becomes something that actually leads to like relaxation. That is the number one benefit that got me into it, and I think keeps people coming back. Now, the way that actually like ties into or pulls into like most people's everyday life is they're training jujitsu every day, they're working out every day, they're pushing themselves really hard at work or in something that they're doing personally. Um, they need something that will allow their body to reset so they can keep pushing after it effectively. This becomes a tool. It becomes a tool that gets them there. That's exactly what drew me into it. So the first time I ever did it, I did it with Laird Hamilton out in Malibu, and we trained. It was a group. It was part of an experience, and we did it as a group. We trained really hard the whole day, and for the first time, I did fire and ice. And the next day, I woke up and I was like, wow. Under normal circumstances, I would wake up and just feel like I'm not really ready to go after it again. And I actually woke up after the best night's sleep. Another benefit to it is you sleep like a baby. I woke up after a great night's sleep and I was like, I'm ready to go again. Like I'm reset. The clock got reset back to day one. So yeah, I just don't know too many things that naturally will do that for you. And there's a ton of other things around longevity and health benefit and boosting immunity. And there's some caloric burn to it. So it's nice for metabolism. And I mean, anyone that has any questions, feel free to reach out and I can send you like as much information as you want to get inundated with. But, those are some of the highlights.
I'm a firm believer, and I did an experience in Costa Rica. They actually had a spa that was like fire and ice, but you went through a series. You started super hot, and then it would phase you, and then you walked through this salt water, like this whole like maze of pools, and you ended up getting warmer and warmer and warmer again.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did an ice plunge. It was like this weird experience. But I mean, inflammation alone, we're talking about like such a horrible cause of so many things that people are dealing with, internal inflammation, muscle inflammation. Well, I don't know a lot about it, but I would think that that's just a massive benefit of both of those is just attacking the inflammation. And I know it boosts metabolism because and burns, because I do those cold showers.
Yep.
And the problem I have with them is I come out and my body I get red hot. Like I get red. And I start sweating. I just jumped out of as cold of water as you can get in Texas, which is right now is not cold, but there's something going on there because I'm sweating after being really, really cold. So
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the body doing the temperature regulation has definitely got a metabolic boost to it, and it's a nice perk.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on like one other thing that doesn't get a lot of airtime, but for me is huge. So when we run a lot of our fire and ice and mechanics, we typically will run a group of people. So maximum of 10, could be a handful, could be 5, 6, but maximum of 10. So if you think about an hour, you got an hour of about 10 people being together. You're in the ice bath for 1 minute, 2 minute, probably maximum 3 minutes. And then you're going to get out and you're going to warm up in the sauna. It's probably about 15 minutes in the sauna. So roughly out of that hour, 45 minutes of it is sitting in the sauna. So what are you doing? You're sitting in the sauna. Your phone's not there. It's too hot to work. You got no TV. You got no one calling you. You got no one bugging you. You're just hanging out with 9 other people that are crazy enough to be in the ice and the heat, which tends to be our kind of people. So you got a lot to talk with them about, whether it's biohacking, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's just shooting the breeze on whatever. And I think that it's hard to find moments like that where you can just shut everything out and just engage in like that interpersonal dynamic and like really connect with people. And I think that's got to be part of what also adds to the relaxation of it. I mean, I think the cold and the heat alone generates a very relaxing feeling if you just go solo. But I think that community element of it is huge. And I think it's a big part of why it's been very popular for us. And it's also a big reason why I'd encourage people to try it, because we just don't get a chance to plug into that much, right?
Yeah, I know it's a big for you on your business, and it's a big financial investment to get those set up right and the right type of equipment. And as you were talking about that, I'm like, how easy is it to do a cold plunge with other people? It's actually pretty simple. You have that group that's in it with you. They're going to do the exact same thing you're doing it. You can't talk yourself out of it because you're already in this position. So I would imagine it's ridiculously powerful. And then just that time without your phone, without working, you are just with like-minded people. And it's really such a big goal of mine in everything that we do. It's why we're doing an event. Like, you can go ruck by yourself, and you can go shoot and get a trainer, do that by yourself. And you can go and do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, maybe with a trainer or with a small group. And then you can go have campfires and great meals. But when you do it with other like-minded people, the value of that, in my opinion, is a million X. It's not 10X, it's a million X. Like the things that happen emotionally, psychologically, socially, the benefits of doing those things with other people are so high. So why aren't there more of these gyms? Do you think it is logistically? I mean, I can't imagine it was cheap to set up. I've seen your setup through like social media and your website. I'm like, holy crap. That's very alluring. It's very awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to do it for yourself, you can run to your local gas station and grab some bags of ice, and you can fill your bathtub up, or you can get a Rubbermaid 100-gallon trough off of Amazon, costs $150 or something around there, and you can do it for yourself or with a small group. And then there's levels you can scale up. There's guys out there that are selling self-contained chilling units, and then you get into commercial setup like what we're doing, and now we've got high volume of people coming through, and we need commercial grade facilities to do all that. So, I don't know why more people haven't done it. I know that part of what we're working on is giving as many people as possible access to it whenever they want it at a really good value price that makes it, a no-brainer for them to want to come and be part of our community and take advantage of it if they want to, right? Like, we're going to tell them the benefits, and then, if they're intrigued, come on in. We can't wait to have you.
That's awesome. Something else that you really caught my ear on is kind of, you talk about Laird Hamilton, and you went and did an experience with him. And then you came back, I think, and implemented some of these practices outside of the fire and ice. Some pool workout things. And I've been trying to, like, with the co-host or the other guy with Brotherhood, Josh, I'm like trying to explain to him. He knows about it, so he did it, but I was doing a horrible job. Like, I don't know, like when they carry stones underwater, and it's hard for me to explain to people. So I kind of want to hear it from you, because you've put some some investment into creating opportunities to do these things as well. So I want to hear more about that because it really intrigues me.
Yeah, I mean, upwards of $500,000. So some
Ooh.
money's been put behind it. Yeah, so it might be like valuable for me to share a little bit of context, and then
Yes,
I can
please.
kind of get to what you're talking about. But when I started Mekanix Gym, the whole reason that I started it was calisthenics re-engaged me with working out and made me stronger and more mobile than I'd ever been. Plus, I got to do cool tricks like handstands and muscle ups and things like that. But it really engaged me and got me excited. So literally, I started a gym, and it was just if it had existed, I would have just signed up as a client. So we were just doing calisthenics work. Well, by coincidence, around the same time, I went out to Malibu and trained at one of Laird Hamilton's XP Key experiences in the very early stages there, and then enjoyed it so much that I ended up going to 3 more experiences and became one of their first coaches, and then became one of only 7 master coaches, and started pulling in a lot of different things that Laird was incorporating in XP Key and started offering it through Mekanix Gym. And so that's where we grew from just doing strength training to conditioning and breath work and pool training and recovery and so forth. And so the pool training it's really just taking advantage of the water to do a lot of different kinds of training, from conditioning to breath work to mental to stability to ballistics. Laird, I think his impetus was the Hawaiians have been doing underwater training for I don't know how many centuries to build breath capacity and build comfort underwater. And, they were carrying stones like you were mentioning. And so Laird's an inventor, very, very sharp guy, in addition to an amazing athlete. And so he's tuning it up a little bit. He's got all these funny names for his movements, like, Reese's and, gorillas and yada, yada, yada. But he's trying to condition himself for his sport. And then, he's an infectious personality. So that he's got other people who are in his sport and not in his sport, and then pro athletes in football and basketball and hockey and whatever. And they're all trying the pool training out and seeing, they're like, hey, this thing is a really cool mechanism for getting to the results that I want. And when I got to experience it, I was like, man, this is amazing, because it's fun. It is a whole new ball game in terms of like mental training. It's a whole new ball game in terms of conditioning. It opens up a lot of possibilities if you're working around limitations, injuries, whatever it might be. And honestly, when I went out there, the other thing that got me was that I was training with guys. So I went out there when I was 35. I'm 42 now. Went out there, I was 35, and I was training with guys that were 20 years or 30 years older than me, and they crushed me. And I didn't just go out there and just sort of like show up. I was like reasonably fit beforehand. I spent a few months trying to get myself ready, so I was above my average level of fitness, and I still got crushed, not by pro athletes, but just kind of average, not average. I mean, they're exceptional humans. These are just, fitness enthusiasts that are crushing other areas of life. And so I was like, if these guys are using this as a core element of their training and it's working, and they got 20 years on me and they're making me look like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is something I want to get better at. And so that's when I started bringing pool training to Houston and offering it through Mekanix Gym. And then there's a whole journey around that leads to the investment you're talking about of actually custom building a specific pool for pool training. And we can talk more about that if you want, but that's been a whole journey as well, over the last couple of years.
My entire goal is to actually experience it with you. I'm gonna be honest. Like I literally am thinking, okay, we have a big circle of men who wants to do this. Let's load up. Let's all meet in Houston and let's do it. Because for me, I'm like, it just, I don't know. There's just a draw. Like it's a little bit outside of. It's definitely outside my comfort zone. I really like the part where you talk about, some injuries, because when you're in water, there's completely different. It just is different. Like I have a torn quad, and I'm like, water would probably be a great place for me to be spending time right now. because
Yep.
it's not healing itself. And I think it's 9 or 10 months old. And so like, it just hits so many really exciting places. Do you do that often? Do you do pool training often other than fire and ice? Are you a proponent and yourself, and like, is this a multi-time a week thing?
Yeah. So the gym offers it multiple classes a week, um, and we make it available to the entire community. And so I'm participating in some of those, and we have other coaches who are leading some of those workouts. So that's happening every week. And then I'd say a minimum of 2 days a week, I have uh, standing workouts with friends of mine, and they come over and we work out together. And then, typically we'll have some breakfast afterwards and just shoot the breeze. I actually, I was kind of, it's a message that I'm passionate about, because this is not pool specific, but if you and I are maintaining our close friendship and we want to regularly get together with each other, there's tons of options available to us, right? There's a million different things we could do. A lot of people default to like, let's go out for a nice meal, or let's go grab a drink or a glass of wine or whatever. Or just say, hey, how about we just, work out every, Thursday morning. We'll just work out in the pool and have some breakfast. And now we're catching up. We're plugged in each other's lives. And also, by the way, we got like a great workout and we feel amazing. So I had one of those this morning with a buddy of mine that I train with every single week. And we enjoy pushing each other. And then we enjoy shooting the breeze. And we're working on some similar things professionally. So we're kind of idea exchanging. And it's, I finish every one of those feeling amazing because of the camaraderie and the brotherhood, but also because, the pool is unique in the sense, for me, it's unique in the sense that I can push really hard. And when I finish, instead of feeling like I'm just like a mess, right? A soup of like human sweat and whatever laying on the mat, I get out of the pool and I feel tired, but I feel like that beautiful, refreshed feeling that you feel from like hanging out at the ocean all day, and you get up out of the, and you're like, you got the sun and the water and whatever, and you finish, you're like, oh, this feels amazing. That's how a pool workout feels afterwards. It's sort of a unique thing. And I think I think a big piece of it is that the water gives this temperature regulation element to it. And so you're pushing hard, but you're not overheating or feeling like you're just totally crushed.
Especially in Texas.
especially in Texas, which has been triple digits for like, I think we're chasing a record right now this summer, and we're not even halfway through. So yeah, especially in Texas, it's nice. Although I'm gonna just throw out there that this pool project that you alluded to, I completed it in December, which is the coldest, almost the coldest month in Houston. And I made sure I swam in the pool every single day. So it works out pretty well, even in 50-degree water. It's a little different feeling from 90-degree water, but it still works out. It still feels amazing.
Yeah. It actually does get cold in Texas too.
Yeah, for a couple of days.
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah, I just, there's so many things that draw me to that type of workout. And you mentioned something I think a lot of people are missing. I've owned a CrossFit gym. So for me, the workouts were great. They were a little hard on me as I get older and older, right? Like you mentioned muscle ups and push. I'm like, handstands. Those are the things I love doing. Like like if I could just go work out and do muscle ups and push ups and that, I'm like, yeah, I'm in, right? I love weights too. But the magic of CrossFit for me wasn't the workout. It was the community and the people working together towards a common goal. We all had a common goal. And then there was that camaraderie. And I think a lot of people are missing that in their lives. And what I really like about your model is the fact that you're working out with other people. However, you're also doing the recovery and challenging yourself and stepping into areas that are a little uncomfortable, but are ultimately really good for your body. So it's just a really cool, a really cool concept. Is there other gyms around the world doing the same thing? I mean, do you have a circle of other people doing similar setups?
Are you referring to like the recovery and the fire and ice, or?
Yeah, I mean, your gym's so unique. So the whole package, is there other gyms out there kind of engaging in the whole package like you have?
There are definitely other friends of mine running gyms that are I think they're primarily based on CrossFit or a workout like CrossFit. And they've incorporated recovery and they've incorporated other modalities that they believe in. Where I think our focus on body weight training combined with recovery is a little bit different than most people I've talked to, but that ends up being a detail. I mean, one guy is going to love training with kettlebells, another guy is going to love training with calisthenics. If you're training in a smart way, each to their own, and that's great. There's where we are not the only people that are thinking about a holistic approach and building a community of people that really have the right attitude towards fitness and health. And I'd love to see more gyms take it on because it's going to drive the right results for people.
It's just like I said, it's just a little intriguing. It's very intriguing for me. Sometimes I have these things where I'm like, ooh, I should open up another gym. And this is one of those, like, well, this is a really good idea. I'm in a very dense area and I don't know of anybody. I know of people doing kind of the fire and ice thing in CrossFit. And, that's my circle, my world. I understand the CrossFit, but not in another modality of working out as well. So let's shift gears a little bit, because I think, I know a struggle for a lot of men is like gaining financial independence. I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this, but so here we go. You can't talk about investing $500,000 into these things and opening gyms and the money you put into those without understanding some of the principles behind what it takes to be successful. And, I don't know your net worth. I don't want to know your net worth, but I would put you in the category of successful. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like you said, you did real estate investment and operations. Was that really where you got your start in business? And you talked about entrepreneurship too. So I kind of want to go down that road, if you will.
Sure. Appreciate your kind words. So I guess my professional start was in software development. So I live in Houston, Texas right now, and I came to Houston, Texas to go to Rice University and get a degree in computer science. And when you get that degree in computer science, the easy button, like the default, is you just go write software for, somebody. And that's what I did. And I did that for a couple of years and didn't like sitting in a cubicle, and just decided to start a business with the only thing that I could think to start a business with, which was just basically taking that skill and saying, hey, I'll sell you a slice of my time for this price and start doing consulting work. And, I still laugh when I think about how stupid it was. I mean, my priority when I was opening my business was like, well, how am I going to print my business cards? I was like, well, if I want to get business, I got to be able to hand a business card to someone. So I don't know what that business card will look like. So let me spend some time on that. Like that was literally my mindset. And that was how stupid or uneducated I was about what was important. Right. But from that beginning, I think one thing that I did that was not stupid was I just kind of went after it. I did have a skill that was valuable. I was willing to kind of go out there and talk to people that could benefit from it, and good things happened. And so I grew that business, and I fast forward 10 years. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, because I'm kind of giving you like a business bio. But I grew that business and ultimately made a decision for a number of reasons. And a big one was quality of life. I made a decision to sell the consulting business, and I sold it without a clear understanding of what I would do next. All I knew was what I did not want. So I was sort of moving away from something as opposed to moving towards something, which in an ideal world, I'd always want to move towards something instead of just moving away from something. But I felt so strongly about the decision that I just literally operated from moving away from something. And so here I am, I successfully moved away from it, and I'm like, all right, well, what am I going to do? And I was waiting for sort of the proverbial tap on the shoulder of like, how I'm going to like really change the world in a really significant way. Right. Like I was waiting to get somehow inspired and called to, cure cancer or something like that. level. And of course, those kind of taps, I don't think they really come in the way that I was hoping that they were going to come. And so I'm just sitting here, doing the earnout on the sale. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll just try and invest in some real estate, to pass the time while I figure out what I really want to do. And so I just jumped into it. And again, I was probably as stupid about real estate investing as I was about opening a business when I started my business, but I was willing to put the reps in, and I was willing to put some dollars behind it. And I think that being willing to take action, and really be committed to a positive outcome, I think good things happen. So that's been my experience. And the market in a good time was, market was rising. And so that definitely helped a lot. And what I found was I liked real estate investing a lot. I liked buying old properties, and originally old properties were just kind of junk houses. So I was buying junk houses, I was fixing them up, and I was selling them. It was just straight up, was a home network or whatever, the house remodel adventures, buy, improve and sell, just flipping houses. And ended up moving from that to apartments and small commercial buildings because I was finding I was very tied to the house. Mm-hmm. So I had the vision for the house, and now I got to go sit there with all the contractors and show them, okay, this is exact. Whereas with apartments, you just sort of say, hey, I want you to paint it this color, and here's the finishes and the fixtures, and just kind of do 100 of those and we'll be done. So anyway, fast forward, and here I am, roughly 10 years later, and still really enjoying it a lot. And it's also part of what accidentally got me into the fitness business, because I never thought I was going to open a gym. Yeah. I just opened the gym to satisfy my own need, and I happened to have a piece of property that I could throw a gym into, and so it was kind of cool to just turn this old Mekanix shop into a new Mekanix gym. If you get that,
that's really cool. I love it. I love it. You said something that I wrote down. I wrote down a quote that I hear all the time, and there's a part of me that agrees with it. But when it comes to business and entrepreneurship, I tend to disagree. And the quote is, failing to plan is planning to fail. And I've done the same thing. Like a business, I started a business, and what is the first thing I do? I spend all my time and energy trying to come up with the perfect logo. I mean, that's been the start of every business I've ever done. It's like all I care about is the logo and the business card, and everything comes after it. Did I have a plan? Not really. Was it not the best way to do it? No. Did I get where I wanted to go, and was I successful in it? Yeah. And you talked about, moving from your consulting without a plan. And you talked about, starting these things without a plan. And I want to talk about that because I've had even guys from the Brotherhood group reach out and like, I need a logo. Someone need help. I need help logo because I want to do this business, but they're frozen because they believe that you have to plan. Everything has to be perfectly laid out. And I don't know that business runs that way. I've yet to meet somebody who had a perfect business plan and everything went as scheduled as it should.
Yeah, I think you raise a really good point that, we can get so stuck in the planning stage that it can become counterproductive. I think my experience has been that it wasn't no plan at all. It was just a plan that, in retrospect, knowing everything I knew, multiple years later, I would have planned it differently, but I did not know how to better plan than what I did. So for example, when I sold the consulting business and I was trying to figure out what to do next, I did not have a plan of a specific business that I wanted to open. I did have a plan of within, X number of years, I need to have something going. I need to work backwards from that. I need to think about how to get there. Sitting in a vacuum, trying to materialize an idea is probably not the best way to make good on that plan. So let me see what other approaches I can do. And for me, an approach was just trying something that I'd heard other had success with. And I thought that would take me to, something that was productive, which with no way to possibly predict it, it kind of did, because it got me in the fitness business, which I get a lot of satisfaction out of. But that, I didn't plan to get in the fitness business. I just planned to get into a business that generated a lot of meaning for me and satisfied certain goals and added value. And then a successful step for me was just doing something that got me a little closer.
And that's kind of what my point was, is
Yep.
a lot of guys will sit and be like, I am miserable what I'm doing now, whether it's working for someone else or working for yourself, but it's not something you dreamed of, and we so often hang our hat on a passion. And sometimes that passion isn't clear. You had your life changed by fitness, and it wasn't a plan, but you were leveraged to be able to do it, which is really cool. And a lot of times my message to guys, like, stop thinking about it and get a mentor or a coach and just go. Just go. And that can save you a lot of trouble as well, is
100%.
Use somebody who's been through it, who can coach you through it, and be willing to pay the money, because it's totally worth it. So you mentioned, I want to turn around back a little bit. You named your gym Mekanix because you took over a mechanic business, the building. Is that right?
Yeah, it was, the original name of the gym was Muscle Up. I actually have a logo sitting somewhere, and the original name of the gym was Muscle Up. And so in retrospect, that was not a great name. I'm glad we didn't go that route. The idea behind Mekanix was, it was a mechanic shop. So, it sounded very clever to just repurpose that word and spell it a little differently. But then also around body mechanics, the gym started as a pure calisthenics gym. And I think one thing that's amazing about calisthenics is just understanding your body awareness, body control. And when you have all those things, good things happen. So the thought process was, it's also body mechanics. That's how the name got started.
It's really cool.
I appreciate that.
It's a cool story. It ties so well. I mean, the mechanics of your body, as well as the origins of the building. So let's go back again to just success for guys who are sitting here listening. And man, I would love to be doing real estate, and I would love to be doing, be able to have something I get a vision of and start the business, and they feel stuck. What advice would you give for them? I mean, maybe they feel stuck. They're working 60 hours a week for somebody else, and they're barely making it work. I do believe that everybody's kind of has a dream, but not everyone's cut out to be a business owner. But I also really, really try and encourage people, like, if it's an itch, you might need to scratch it. What would your advice be to someone who's kind of got that itch?
I mean, the simple advice is just go do it. I mean, it literally, you can be listening right now and literally just make the decision to flip from I can't do it to I can. Now, it's obviously that moment is harder to manufacture, but this could be the moment right now as you're listening to it, where you decide to say, I'm going to go do it. Things that have been really powerful for me. I invested some time in creating a 10-year vision. And anyone wants to reach out to me, I'd be more than happy to share how I did it. It's time consuming, but the process is not that hard. And the whole idea is mapping out and writing in great detail a perfect day 10 years in the future. So like, I write down what I smell, what I eat, who I'm with, what I'm doing, etc. But I think that vision creates a lot of clarity. I think it creates a lot of clarity on like where you're trying to get to. And I think that's important. Otherwise, if you don't know where you're going, you're just kind of meandering. I think the other thing, and I mean, so many people have said this before me, but I think the people that you spend time around are just so important. It's when everybody that you're talking to all day long is several steps ahead of where you want to be on the path that you want to be on. And by the way, that vision helps you understand like what that path is, because you know where you are and where you're going. When you're just talking to people that are doing that, you just can't help but just be thinking about like, how do I level up? And It's confidence building. It's inspiring. If you're with a good network of people, they're going to want to help you. Like if you're genuinely interested and you have a question, they're going to want to help you. Right.
Yep.
And so those things to me are going to generate results. And then the missing ingredient is just the desire, and then the work ethic behind the desire to just put the reps in, because there's no shortcut. There's 4-hour work weeks and 3-hour work weeks and this, that, and the other, and whatever that you can optimize to. And that's all great. But if you're in a point where you're like stuck, there's no substitute for just heads down, put in the work, make it your priority, cut out all the other crap, just get it done.
Yeah. Agreed. And this is such an important topic to talk about. I wish we had more time to talk about it, because like even this week alone, I've talked to 4 different men. I think they're all in their 30s who are in the midst of switching careers. They're selling a business and figuring out what they're going to do next. It's 4 different men in 1 week is pretty significant, because I think this is a normal thing. I think it's a very, very normal thing. And I actually know of these because they reached out to me and said, I need to come to your event because I need to be around other people who are obtaining what I'm wanting to obtain. And I'm like, that's the ticket, right? I mean, you said it, be around, surround yourself with those people. So that's really, really cool. Justin, thank you so much, brother. Really cool story. It's actually pretty inspiring for me to kind of hear your process and talk, because I think a lot of men need to hear that it's not a linear path. There's going to be things you do that are like, why did I waste time doing that? But really the idea is to see that as a stepping stone for the thing you're moving forward and not get discouraged. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, my pleasure. I know we didn't even touch on all the stupid mistakes that I made along the way, because you're right, it's not a linear path. I would be remiss if I didn't throw out that I would love to have your group come and we'll do an event at the pool. We'll do some cool pool training, a lot of mental and physical benefits, and like you said, the camaraderie and just leveling up around people that are trying to do great things. So I would love to make that happen.
I'm speaking it into existence. The manifestation thing, I've been talking to men about it. Oh, this is one of the things I'm doing. So I was kind of hoping you would fall in line, because if it's not you, I'm going to find someone else. But I'm like, I've already connected with Justin. He's in Houston, which is easy to travel to. I'm like, this is so ideal. So we're going to take you up on that. You and I will be in touch, because it just makes sense. And just having like a little mini getaway, a couple days and just hammering it and or even a day, I don't even care. It's just whatever you tell me we need to do, we're going to do it. So I appreciate that, brother. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, make sure you share this podcast, because I think a lot of guys need to hear Justin's story. They need to hear the benefits of fire and ice and calisthenics, and just going after your dreams and setting out goals for yourself. And if you're in the Houston area, go check out Mekanix Gym, because I think if I were there, I definitely would be stepping my toes in that water, if you will. So do us all a favor, drive by, visit Justin's gyms, and subscribe to the podcast, share it, do the things that really benefit everybody. Have an amazing day.
Thank you for listening to the Brotherhood of Fatherhood podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, your family, and follow us on social media. If you are a father, make sure you join our Facebook group, The Brotherhood of Fatherhood. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more podcasts from the Brotherhood of Fatherhood.